Welcome to the March 14th, 2026 Bronzeville Neighborhood Association meeting. I'm Vice President Dana Naismith, and I will run the meeting today. Mr. Willis Brown, our president, is out of town today, so we will carry on. We always have our meeting, no matter who's here. So carry on with us. And there's a lot of things happening in the neighborhood today and the past month from our last meeting. And we have our meetings the second Saturday of each month except August when we have vacation at 3 o'clock here at Bethany Presbyterian Church at Garfield and Mamie Moore by Mamie Moore Park. And we always encourage and welcome anybody who wants to actually come and sit and participate in the meeting. And we also have it online, so we encourage any communication for those interested in what's happening, could happen, or they want to have happen. And we're going to have several speakers today. We're going to have the attorney representing the Ohio History Connection for the Poindexter Village project on Champion Avenue. And this is going to be an interesting discussion. This has been a project that the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association has been involved in since before demolition started on the historic property back in 2011. And we've had much anticipation on the development of a potential historic site museum. And it's about to happen. So we'll have that discussion, which is exciting. And we hopefully will have other speakers coming in to present, which is nice. And we have some additional people coming in, which is good. And we will have our City Council, District 7, Councilwoman is here also, who's going to offer some discussion about the neighborhood, and she's involved with housing for the city, so maybe we'll have a little bit of information there. And to start the discussion, I would like to make it very clear that Bronzeville Neighborhood Association is a 501c3, so we are very involved in promoting and making the community aware of what is happening politically. It could happen, what their interests are in the city, but being a nonprofit, we do not take a position on such a thing. Laying all that groundwork, I want the community and people at large to know that this past week, City Attorney Zach Klein approved a petition that was presented to the city to put forth the possibility to have district representation. And it's the group Our City, Our Say presented that. And what that is the idea that we in Columbus have 9 districts, so it would be, if approved, that you only in your district, this is District 7, so only District 7 people would vote for somebody living, wanting to be a city council candidate in District 7. And the reason why many people are interested in this and why it's an important consideration for the city of Columbus is that Columbus is the only city of the 50 largest cities that does not have any form of direct district representation, which means, as is now, everybody all over the city votes for all city candidates for city council. So if this proposed petition is approved and then goes to a ballot in November and is supported and voted and it passes, that means in the future, I don't know when, but in the future, if you live in District 7, where we are, Bronzeville, and people on the Near East Side, then you would only vote for the candidates who want to be representing District 7, which is a major change in this city, and it's an exciting opportunity, and we want to make this public because we need to have the city residents aware of what is happening. And this really is a historic moment. The city council has done wonderful things for this neighborhood, and we're very fortunate today because we, like I said, we have the District 7 is the city council person who lives here, Tierra Ross, is actually here today and will make a presentation. We're always excited by any elected officials who want to come in and discuss things. We also have our state representative here. And so with that, then I will go on to another interesting thing. So we can go to our speakers, and Tierra Ross, City Council representative, if you'd like to introduce yourself and speak.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I am so glad to be here. I wanted to first just kind of say hello. I don't think that I've been out here since the election, and so we've been working really, really hard in my office, trying to get staffed up, getting all of our operational things together, and so I am now getting a chance to kind of turn my attention back outward to the community, and I am having our first listening session on March the 17th, which is Tuesday of next week from 5:30 to 7:30 at Ground and Grind, which is on East Main Street. I hope that any and all of you who are available to come can come. You will learn a little bit about my policy platform and some of the work I have been assigned to do at council. So I am chair of the Housing Committee. I am also vice chair of our Public Safety Committee. So you'll hear some updates coming out of both committees. And also, it really is going to be an opportunity for me to listen and hear from you. And so we'll have a community voice wall where you'll be able to write down the things that you're concerned about in our community, the things that you think are going well, things that you think we have opportunity to improve on. And we're really going to just talk through that transparently and openly. It is truly going to be a listening session, so I hope to listen more than I talk at the listening session on Tuesday, and wanted to make sure that I got here so that I can invite all of you to take part in that. Now, this is my first of many, so we're going to try to do one per month. We're going to start here on the Near East Side. I'll probably do 2 more on the Near East Side before I turn my attention to other parts of the city, but we are prioritizing District 7, so Near East Side will be first. Then we'll have some listening sessions in German Village and Franklinton. So as you all know, the District 7 encompasses a ton of different types of neighborhoods, including Bronzeville, including King Lincoln, including Milo Grogan, including neighborhoods like Franklinton, German Village, downtown, parts of the Short North. So we're going to be all over District 7 to begin with. Then we'll expand out to other parts of the city. As you may have heard, I am still an at-large elected, which means every member of the city of Columbus has me as a resource, and so I want to make sure that I spend some time in every part of the city while also prioritizing District 7. So I hope that all of you can join me on March 17th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Ground and Grind on East Main Street. If you're on Instagram and you follow me at Tierra N. Ross, there is a barcode where you can register. You don't have to RSVP to attend, so if you don't get a chance to RSVP, still show up, still come, doesn't matter. But it helps us keep a head count of how many people are going to be there, because I believe in providing snacks. I don't want you to come anywhere without having something to chew on. So we will have some cookies and some other snacks available. RSVP just helps me know how much I need to prepare for. So I hope to see you there. I hope all of you can make it. Even if you can't stay the whole 2 hours, just pop in 30 minutes to an hour. I would love to be able to have some more intimate conversations with all of you. Thank you.
And we also have our representative, Montavious Gerald. Would you like to make a statement?
Well, first off, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing today? Good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing today? All right. I am so excited to be here with all of you. I've been here many times, and every time I come here, it's always a full house. Really appreciate you and the leadership of this group for continuously really bringing the pulse of the people to the work that we're doing, not just at the city level, but at the state level. I really don't have much updates except for a couple of things. One, we are going through a capital budget currently. In Franklin County, we're going to see somewhere near about $30 million plus, and $30 million is going to be allocated from the state. Probably a little bit more than that. And because I represent House District 1, which encompasses all of downtown Columbus, City of Bexley, Franklinton, near East Side, part of the South Side, part of the Linden up to Fifth Avenue, so Berwyn, part of it. I go all the way out to a little bit of most of downtown until we get to about the New Hilton Hotel. A lot of the regional projects are in my district. And so last General Assembly, we were able to bring back around $64 million of capital funds back to House District 1, which I'm really proud of. And I believe we're going to bring back significant funds again. And so that process is currently underway. We also are in a process of reallocating capital dollars that have been appropriated, but they weren't unspent. And so I have a couple of projects that were in the district that also had those reallocated funds. And so I'm really being intentional about how we invest those funds, particularly in this particular neighborhood. Hope to have one project that we'll announce soon that's going to receive hopefully a sizable investment in this district. And so I'm not going to tease you yet. Listen, see, I want to tease you and tease you. You know what I'm saying? And so. Really? I like the wine. Smooth. So the capital budget is underway. So reallocated funds should be finalized by the end of this month. And then we are still kind of deliberating with the House and the Senate in terms of when we will get a final bill to pass out of the House chamber and go to the Senate for review. And so obviously, as you know, senators have their own funds as well that they're going to extend. And so we all come together with our two sides and we figure it out. We negotiate. And then we have one bill that we can then send to the governor for signing into law. And that's when those dollars get appropriated to those various projects. I passed two bills out of the chamber, three really. One have already been got into law, but two of them I want to just give you a quick update around. One of them is House Bill 58. This is around recovery housing. One of the big issues that we're seeing around the state is, unfortunately, illicit and or bad actors of recovery housing that are popping up in communities all across the state. When we think about people in recovery, the reality is housing is essential part of the recovery process. And so families and individuals should not be walking into homes with rats, with feces, roaches, things of that nature. And we want to make sure that we're shutting down bad actors. And House Bill 58 does a number of things to increase the quality of housing for those particular individuals. And House Bill 25, which I'm really, really excited that got passed out of the chamber literally last week, modifies foster care process for students navigating K through 12. Current law is that when a foster youth is navigating the education process, you're supposed to do something called a best interest determination. And that is supposed to help them decide, do they have a homeschool? Or do they need to go somewhere else? What services do they need? And unfortunately, there's been a number of traumatic things that have happened to foster youth as they've navigated education, to the point where sometimes they're being forcibly removed from school and or not accepted into school, and they would languish at home for weeks. Now, if you know anything about foster youth and some of the realities that they face, a lot of them come with a number of different traumas outside of the educational space. And so this is just one more trauma that they would have to navigate if they're not provided the right support navigating the educational pipeline. And so this bill does a number of amazing things to make sure that we're centering support for foster youth as they're navigating a K through 12, and to set them up for college and other career opportunities and pathways that they choose. And so it is currently the bill with the most co-sponsored members of both the House and the Senate. I'm sorry, Democrats and Republicans. It has the most people on the bill, a little bit over 48 members of the body have joined on to this bill. And my intention is to get this over the finish line. When this does happen, it'll be the most significant change we've ever made to foster care policy since foster care policies around education. So I'm really excited. It took a lot of work. It took me 4 years to get this thing done, and it is finally ready to go to help families. And so those are the two bills of the 25 I've introduced. I have another about 8 more that I'm going to be introducing this GA before we get cut off. And my intention is, if you don't know, if you haven't, I can always send them to you all. most of the bills that I've introduced are bipartisan. So either Republican joint sponsor or I have Republicans who are signed onto the bill. And so everything that I'm doing is around really changing material conditions of people, and those two bills will make a seismic shift in their respective areas to help folks. And so really excited, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we're doing in the State House.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Anybody?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. So it passed the House chamber unanimously, and it's in the Senate.
I would like to say, on behalf of the historian, Reverend Poindexter would be most proud of your generation and what you're doing. Because if you know that he lived at 41 North 4th Street, and this would have been, and because of the ward system, education, and he was the Martin Luther King of the day, so it was about civil rights, and what you two are doing as when he was elected as city council person, and on the Board of Education, he fought for these communities, and he fought for freedom of persons that were coming out of slavery and suffering. So he would be so proud of you to see that future generations are carrying on the work in integrity and respect that he provided to our community in the 1800s. Thank you.
And I would like to acknowledge that is Ms. Rita Smith, neighborhood city historian, and she recently had an event in her honor at Central Community House that many of us attended. Wonderful event, full house. That was 2-3 weeks ago, maybe? And it was an honor to be there when you were honored. That was very impressive.
Only because of Reverend Poindexter.
Thank you. And speaking of Poindexter, we also have the Poindexter Village Ohio History Connection Museum that is in the pipeline, that is now starting to move forward. And we have the attorney, Mr. Brown, here today, who will discuss that project and possibly answer a few questions.
Okay. My name is Jeff Brown. I'm an attorney with Smoky-Vale. And I had a phone call several months ago from the engineers, Dave Moody and his office, to ask for some assistance in terms of this project. And so we've got a site plan sheet that we'll pass out. Basically what this does is there are 2 remaining buildings that this young lady saved. And so Ohio Historical Connection is going to put a atrium building that connects the 2 on the property. And one of the nice things, we did an on-site with the Near East. Shelby Food, who is the lead person here, she had a conflict. She had to be with the governor today, or she would be here and I wouldn't be talking. She said one of the exciting things is that it's glass on the backside looking into the church. So the church there is a partner in terms of this development, and so you'll be able to go into the atrium and look back and see the stained glass windows of the church, which I think is a nice connection. The other thing that I learned, even though I've spent my whole life here in Columbus, I met the oldest resident of Poindexter Village when we did the on-site, and that's that magnificent tree that's on the property. And so if you go in a couple pages, you'll see a site plan, called a site plan, and you'll see that there's a large outdoor space to the east of the existing building, and then the central part of that is that magnificent tree. And so they're having arborists look at that to make sure that it stays in good health. Probably needs some trimming, but it will all be protected during the construction of this project. And it's a little unique in terms of Ohio Historical Center has their property, the church has their property, and we are also working with CMHA, which has their property. And so typically when I'm doing a project like this, I have one owner, and it's a big piece of property, and we don't have any variances. Well, when you have this situation where you're dealing with 3 separate parcels, we have a series of variances that we reviewed with the Near East Area Commission and got approval last week on our project. And they're really kind of technical in nature. The church has a gravel parking lot to the east of it. We are incorporating that, and Ohio Historical Connection will be paving that parking lot. Now, it won't extend as far as it is now. It'll be about half that size, but that's all going to be paved, and the city would tell me that I need to put trees in the middle of the parking lot because that's a church property line. So there are variances like that, dealing with the landscaping and maneuvering of the parking spaces and a bunch of technicals, which if somebody wants me to go through, I can. But what we're trying to do is look at this as one over development, but we need a series of variances in order to allow that to occur. And everybody's been very good in terms of cooperating. CMHA is excited about that. They have a master property owner. I mean, they own the property, but they have an operating agreement with somebody else that we had to deal with. They're on board. The church is on board. So we're very excited about this project. And if you have any questions about the site plan or anything like that, or if you want me to go into more detail, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. So how are you integrated with community? I'm not clear. What kind of community in this organization? How do you stand in that relationship?
I'm on the outside looking in. I'm a consultant. So they're the architects. They're the architects, they're the engineers. And you know, it's like the 3 wise men. So I got 2 of the 3. They had to bring in an attorney to kind of so that's why I'm here.
So they was the usual, and hello, my name is Azuka Mumin. I'm also a consultant on the project, and excuse me, that's why I passed out the community engagement piece. And I'm going to stand up so I don't feel like I hurt my back anymore. But I'm supporting the project. I've been involved since 2018 as a volunteer. I'm now a consultant with the project to help with the community engagement. Focused on the concept of nothing about us without us. It's the same concept that OHC used when working with the indigenous population. It's the same concept that we'll be using when working with the community. This is a museum built for the community, with the community, right? In my lifetime, I've never had a museum built in my neighborhood. I live down the street right across from Orange East Hospital. This is a big deal, and we need everybody to be involved with it. It's going to take time. It's important to do it right, not fast. We're going to need input, but we're also going to need understanding and awareness about what it takes to build a museum. This is a long process, and a lot of decisions are made here that aren't implemented until 2 years or so down. But we're going to try to engage the community so that we all understand what's going on and that we can be as transparent as possible, right? We're all in this together. Nobody's coming to save us but us. So what you see, I'm sorry. They're considered a partner in this.
You'll see where the pieces, I'm visualizing. I see Poindexter. I see you in this road.
Okay. Actually,
Now where's Metropolitan?
everything around the Ohio Historical and the church is owned by CMHA.
Oh, okay. I thought
So
they
that all those
sold
new apartments that are built
All the
are
legacy.
CMHA.
Okay, legacy. I got legacy. Okay, I thought they sold it.
And they're partnering this in discussion as well, right? And that's what we're starting to step towards. The hard copy, front and back, that comes from a program just recently called Teachers of the Culture, where we had the young people to do drawings from Poindexter Village. And we wanted to pull this out so that we have consistent information. Really important, we say, the same audience, the same thing, right? So we're not confused. Then the one sheet just gives you a high-level understanding of how we want to approach community engagement. It's mostly about communication, that back and forth communication, getting the information out there, getting the feedback from the community, right? Everything that we may get feedback on, they may not be able to do. But it's important to have the dialogue, right? So that we all understand what is possible and what is not possible. What can we do now and maybe what's down in the 5-year plan. But the dialogue and that engagement is really important, and that there's a whole loop. So one of the things, just from a high level, and I'll wrap this up, in engaging with our partners, we don't want to just say, this is what we got, and you make it do what we're doing. What we want to say is, this is what we're doing. How do we engage with what you're doing? How can we come together and meet both missions, right? That's what makes it village and community, that we all get to do it and we all have a space in it. So that's what we're trying to do. We ask for grace and consideration because we've never done this before, but we're doing this together. And we're going to get there. Groundbreaking is May 6th. The museum will open up in February of 2028. And we are super, super, super excited. And as the good Sister Rita said, Reverend Dr. Poindexter will be so pleased. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, you go ahead.
You have the money to start the project, you have the money to finish the project.
I would assume so. They wouldn't be out doing all this right now if they didn't have the funding. But I'm not part of that. We can get you a more definite answer and get it back to Dana.
There will be a campaign. Obviously, these things require money, right? It's the silent phase, but it will move forward and become more public. There is a space, and the website doesn't actually go up until April. There's a donate button there. Always we will need money, right? That's the giving to go forward with need money.
Well, I just thought they should do it incrementally so that they don't, if they aren't able to raise the full funds, they still have something that's operational, okay? The other thing I want to bring up is that the city right-of-ways, which include the curbs and sidewalks and alleys, the city is not maintaining those right-of-ways, okay? And you've been working for a year and a half to clean up the city right-of-ways, and we would like them to put in the contract for the landscape, but also include the sidewalks and curbs there on Champion Avenue, because they're responsible, the property owner is responsible for those curbs and sidewalks, okay? But nobody in the whole neighborhood understands that, okay? The city's not going to maintain the curbs and sidewalks, and we've been cleaning up Champion Avenue in front of Poindexter for a year and a half, and we'd like to put in the contract for the landscaper that they also do the curbs and sidewalks, okay?
And you can I'm not sure how that affects.
No, I mean, that's an operational question. Obviously, if you've gone to that church and tried to go into the parking lot, there's a big offset between the street and the gravel. So as part of, we're going to have that parking lot paved for the church and some parking spaces for us. That will all be even up in terms of the entrance into it. And then the city, when they review our site plan, they will look at all of the sidewalks, and if improvements need to be made or anything like that, they will make the developer or the owner in this instance do those improvements. But I understand if you're talking more about ongoing maintenance.
Yes,
I think it only makes sense in terms of the museum in there. That's your front door. You're going to want to make sure that it's clean and presentable, because otherwise you're shooting yourself in the foot.
And they'll have children that will be dropped off in that space as well. But I will make sure that that's considered. I'll put that down.
Well, again, as a historian, my daughter always says, Mama, you're preaching history again. But Dana and many of the community members supported JPPF, and this project, we would not be here today. And I believe that our city needs to fully understand that if it had not been for the city of Columbus and council and the mayor giving us that $1 million, we wouldn't be here today. So they are with JPPF. We're partners. And we had a lot of communication with our community in that process to obtain the support of the city, for the city to save those buildings, to give that money as a partner to OHC to save those buildings. And I always want my city to get recognition for that, because that doesn't happen every day for the city to give you that kind of money. And to put that kind of faith in the communication and the partnership with the community for the development of that museum.
And thank you very much. And there needs to be some background information. Some of us in this room are aware of this, but when the early discussion came down that Poindexter was in fact going to be a subject of history, the community motivated many people to get involved, and Rita was very much a part of that. We had Bronzeville Neighborhood Association. We had various students from Ohio State. We had other people in the Black community at large. This was back 2010, 2011, and 2012. Bronzeville Neighborhood Association got a $2,000 grant from United Way, and we held a celebration at the Beatty Rec Center. And again, Rita was very much a part of that. There were recordings made for oral history. There were various presentations of what could be, discussion of possibly a museum. It was one of those dreams, one of those hopes. And then the process of tearing down the buildings. And many of us, again, including Rita Smith, stood our ground and said, we need to keep some of these. We need to keep some of these. And it was debated where it would be. Finally, we ended up with 2 remaining buildings right there at Union Grove. And so then they were mothballed for a period of years. People were wondering where was the money going to come from to be able to do anything, let alone just maintain the buildings boarded up. So slowly, those pieces came together. And like Rita Smith said, we got $1 million from the city. And Ohio History Connection was very much wanting to consider the project, but they still needed some pushing to make it happen. And we got that to happen. And as a result, we've come to the point where we are now. The lawyers are involved, the architects are involved, the city is very much involved, Ohio History Connection. It's all ready to go. We have the majority of the monies. We always need more monies because a lot of these monies come through the state funding process. And so we had a site hearing last Saturday that I participated in. DEAC did. It was approved. Everybody loves the concept, loves the project. And another additional thing we need to be aware of is the architect is Moody Nolan. And maybe some of you know, Moody Nolan is the largest Black-owned architecture firm in the United States. They've done projects all across the country. They have offices in other cities, but they're based out of Columbus. They've done 3 projects in our neighborhood. This will be number 3. So they did the Gateway Building at Hamilton and Long. They did the Martin Luther King Library at Long and Taylor. And they have drawings ready to go for the Poindexter Village site, historic site. So that is history in itself, that we have an award-winning Black architectural firm with 3 projects in this neighborhood. That's recent history. And there's another very interesting point I'm trying to remember. It'll come to me. And so we're moving forward on this project. And the nice thing is it's set up so the school kids in the community and surrounding areas are going to be a large part of it. One of the drawings they showed those of us on the site hearing was how the school buses are going to come and park and then be able to leave. So it's a future historic site, and I just remembered what I was going to say. I think there are, 51 remote locations the Ohio History Connection has around the state?
59. Poindexter is the 59th site.
All right, this will be the 59th site in their network across the state. So that is very impressive, and right in the middle of our historic neighborhood. And does anybody else want to say anything about Poindexter or Poindexter Village? Yes.
Are you, so you're going to be having two, right? How long are you guys going to be able to have that food truck? Is it, once you start the groundbreaking, you'll have it like a meeting, or is it going to
Start with the ground, that's right.
I'd say this is all good. I just want with Champion Avenue, especially with what I'm seeing out here, that you guys are going to be working on the utilities and all that. Just keep in mind of all the other construction that is around. Because even from here, I can see that there's at least going to be multiple piping that's going to be put in there. You probably have to build all the Champion to do that. Just. Oh yeah, city approval and everything. Yeah. Public might not approve of it, but the city will approve of it. But I just want to say that because I know that when it comes to a lot of our streets, especially when it comes to the city alleyways, they're very, very small. So I just want to hope you take that into consideration. And especially if you're going to start with the groundbreaking and start with the construction elements, because I'm pretty sure anyone who's going to start construction wanted to have a nice, good parking space, and it's going to be very, very small.
Any other considerations, statements?
I just have a question. I know you mentioned May 6th, groundbreaking, and I just want to ask where and what time.
They're going to be posting a registration soon for the groundbreaking. It's going to be at 11 o'clock, and it'll be at the site.
Which is right beside Union Road.
Right.
That's
Right. They haven't
Champion.
listed the registration yet linked through the development office.
But you don't have to be registered to attend that.
I'm not certain, you know,
Groundbreaking.
things nowadays, but of course it's going to
Well,
there'll be a tent, so that
Right,
will
but-
be.
and if there's more people than there is tent space, that's okay. We want as many people in the community to come out for the groundbreaking. If you want to register, that's fine, but don't feel obligated to do it. Please come out. This is a historic event for a historic site. So this is an exciting time, all right?
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate those who are still on the committee with Rita, because I started out years ago, and I stopped along the way. Was still interested, but I stopped along the way, so I really congratulate those who held on until, almost the end here.
But you're still here.
I'm still here, but
You're still with
I
us. You're
wasn't
still
at
part
all
of it.
those meetings and I was attending.
Right. That's exciting.
And unfortunately, I will have to collect the large plans. There's another meeting coming right up early Tuesday morning, so we won't have a chance to duplicate them. But we want to make sure that you all get them. Oh, yes.
But we at the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association, we do have copies, so if somebody else would like to look at a large copy at another time, that's possible. And if that's the concerns and interests and statements with Poindexter, then I would like to offer the floor to our Near East Area Commissioner to say anything or present projects that there's input about.
The planning and zoning committee meets on this coming Thursday. We have one property in Fort Taylor. And if they haven't presented the project to you by now, I need to know that because we're really requiring projects to present to their neighborhood civic associations. So this is the 410 North Garfield, or Hamilton, I'm sorry, Hamilton. And it's a duplex. They're building a duplex on that very narrow lot, which we're seeing a lot of a lot of duplexes on very narrow lots. So they have come with a ton of variances.
That's right where the off-ramp is off the freeway.
Yes. Well, it's in that block. I think it's the third lot down that's empty. Otherwise, we have, we also are going to have a conceptual review for the new proposal for the old gas station on the corner of 20th and East Broad. And I would like for the community to come out to this because they're proposing to put a strip mall facing High Street with a parking lot off of East Broad. It's a very welcome proposal in my opinion.
Wait a minute, where is it? You said the gas station on 20th?
20th and East Broad.
Right. Right. And you said a strip mall?
Well, it's a one-story building set back on the lot with the parking lot in front.
So is that between 20th and 21st or
Well, between
21st and
20th
22nd?
and Wendy's. It's right next to it.
Okay.
So basically, Wendy's and this lot,
This is to the east.
yeah, are between 20th and 21st.
Right.
That's on Broad Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yeah. The city shut them down because they did all sorts of code variations. So that lot has been empty, and all of it's a problem that I put things in here in 2006. It finally got shut down, and now I don't know who owns it at this point, but they were not willing to do any of the work that needed to bring it up to stuff.
And the site has been remediated. They got the tanks and everything cleaned out.
Well, I don't think they've taken the fuel tanks out.
I thought they did some kind of remediation. But
Well,
maybe not entirely.
It wasn't entirely mediated because, and I think that's the reason they want to put the parking lot in the front because they're going to be paving all of the old gas tanks.
So again, it's good to know history in the neighborhood. And when it comes to gas tanks, nowadays, we want to have them out. Everybody's taking them out. There's no reason to keep them in.
We'll find out.
And the reason why that's significant, do people know why the Urban League is cited the way it is? Because it had gas tanks there too, so they pushed it back off Mount Carmel. Okay, that was then. Nowadays, we're not doing that. Community, we can stand up, we can say, we got to do it right. Every other neighborhood takes out gas tanks. Again, this is a predominantly African American community, so why should we settle for second rate? We should be able to get the same thing other neighborhoods do, and they get their gas tanks out. So whoever the developer is, the community will be there. I know we in the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association will make that statement.
I didn't hear the date.
It's this Thursday at 6:30 at the Friday in East West.
Thursday at 6:30.
Yes.
I'm
I'm sorry. The Pride Building.
It's 1390. Get some addresses.
Yes, it's 1390.
That's at Ladden. Ladden
I
Road.
know where it's at, but you the address.
They're presenting to the commission.
It is an informal conceptual review.
Thank you.
So we are really providing you with the feedback being made to understand what the community wants in terms of the use of that.
It's at 6:30.
I will tell you, we have a full agenda, and the conceptual reviews are at the very end of the agenda. So 7:30 would be good, but if you want to sit through the entire commission, we'll see what happens.
So we encourage people to turn out for that meeting and any meeting that the commission has. It's always very informative. And thank you very much, Bob.
You're welcome.
And I would like to make an announcement. There is a meeting at Shiloh Baptist on Church, March 26th at 720 Mount Vernon Avenue, 6 to 8 p.m. And it's the Columbus Police Chiefs Advisory Panel meeting for Zone 6. Now, Zone 6 is a large area of the city. It includes the Bronzeville neighborhood. but it goes way north and other directions too. I'm not sure what things are going to be discussed, but it's an open meeting. So if you're interested, that would be nice for you to attend. Again, that's March 26th, 6 to 8 at Shiloh Baptist Church. There's plenty of parking right there at the church. And then that brings us to another thing that we're having in the process right now is the new Levine development at the towers at Leonard. It would go to where the old Monroe Middle School was. That's recently been torn down. So they're in the process, an ongoing, continuing process to clean out the inside, like we talked, I think, previous meetings. And it's a very laborious process because they have to take all the rotted, decomposed things from each apartment unit and all the refrigerators and all that stuff out before they can physically bring down the building. But I've seen trucks coming and going, so they bring them in, they take them out, bring them in, take them out. It's going to be a lengthy process, but we're moving forward. And so the architect developers have come up with a preliminary, it may be more than just conceptual, maybe design development stage for elevations. And we with the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association have been meeting with them for over a year from the very beginning, so we're involved in the process, and hopefully we can present some of those elevations at the next meeting. We would like the community to see that. And this is a big project. It's going towards 150 million, possibly more, and it involves affordable housing. But this project, like projects all over Center City and other areas, we want to mix it up. We don't want to put a particular economic group together. It's not healthy for the people. It's not healthy for the neighborhood or the city. So like other neighborhoods, we're going to mix it up. So that'll be nice. And the project has to have the same number of units as were previously in the towers. And then it can go above that, but it has to meet that. That's one of the requirements for the project. So it's not going to be big towers. That's not what is the discussion now. It's going to be some, there could be a building several floors high. I'm not sure how many, maybe anywhere to 4 to 6 high, something like that. And then there could be some that are 2 to 3 floors that'll be scattered around the site. So it won't have the visible impression that it makes now. And it's the 2 buildings that have those pyramids on the top. So, how many? How many units is it currently? I don't want to give you a number because I don't remember offhand.
Yes, I think it's about 14.
I think it was about 220 per tower.
Yeah, something like that. So we will meet that and hopefully be able to go beyond that. The exciting thing about this project is Monroe Middle School was brought down in the process since the project was initially developed and presented, and Levine got control of the site. And so the city school board controls the Monroe Middle School and Felton Middle School sites. Both of them have been cleared, and they are adjacent to the site. So there's possibilities that this could spin off, the Levine project could spin off some further development on those 2 sites that are controlled by the city school board, but the city school board is very particular on who they release the land to for development. So I'm not sure where that stands at the moment, but I'm sure there's been some discussions. So we'll keep the community advised on that, because this is a major ability to increase our population significantly. Because you have that whole area from Atchison all the way up to Leonard, which is open for new residential. Everybody's talking about residential. So this is an opportunity to put a dent in the housing demands that we have here on the Near East Side. And I know our city council, Kara Ross, is well aware of what's going on. She may be aware of some other discussions we haven't heard yet, but we'll keep you up on what's going on. So that's, yes.
Deal, what about the deal, where we at? Esther told me, Esther deal said, we've already got residents in the building suit. Deal really cool.
At Hamilton and Long.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said we already, she told me,
Uh-huh.
the part owner, she said we already got residents in the building. What do you know?
Well, I know they put up the sign saying lease space down below. I think it's like,
Okay.
is it 2,600, 2,400
They're
square
in the
feet?
building, actually, they're in the building, residents.
And,
Go over and talk to them. I know, because I talked to them.
yeah, well, that's, we know
That's
that.
what you heard too. They got,
Yeah.
they got-
So, and the other exciting thing we'll let the community know is the developer is going to have some kind of event when they put the Bronzeville sign up on the top of the building,
She said that's coming.
which is coming up soon.
That's coming up too.
And they got to put the big clocks on the face of the tower that face downtown. And so when we, I don't know if they happen simultaneously, but when the Bronzeville sign gets up, we'll let people know. We want people to come out and have celebrate that, like we're going to do with Poindexter Village. These are big events in our community that we've been working for a long time. So it'll, again, it puts us in a little different light than other neighborhoods.
I'm saying like a cookout?
Who knows? Who knows? It's right there along Elijah Pierce.
I know what you're talking about, the one that's
There's
over
that-
down by Elijah Pierce, right next to the Lincoln Theater. That big one that just got opened up.
Right.
I think the one that they were talking about when it comes to renting something out, it was going to be for the bottom and or just for business. I think, no.
No. This is the one at
That's
Hamilton
the
Mall.
Ogden. This is the one that's across from the.
Yeah.
One right next to the highway.
It's right at the cultural wall. Right. And so it has that nice green walking space with the benches and the sidewalks that follow Elijah Pierce. So that's probably where we'll be to look at the sign when it gets lit up.
Again.
So that's going to be
perfect
nice.
spot for a cookout. That's just
Well, yeah.
perfect spot.
Right, exactly.
We'll shut down the street. Who cares? They'll find another highway to go to.
Which is adjacent to the Bronzeville Community Park, right there at Hamilton and Spring. So it makes perfect sense.
So what's the name of the building going to be? You mentioned the
Well, that's the
Bronzeville
deal.
sign?
The Bronzeville is going to be on top of the deal.
Oh.
And that's Esther Deal and the funeral home. The family that had the funeral. Yeah. So is there any other concerns, interests, comments? Yeah.
As your historian again, you know, it concerns me. And I appreciate all of the new folk moving into the community. But there's a real gap in knowing the true history of this community and the leaders and the accomplishments made by so many of our members of our community from the day back. Okay. We have lost almost so many of our original buildings that tell our story. And the one, and I keep bringing it up, is St. Mark's is one of the last buildings that has been a source of our leadership. And I am most concerned, people moving into our community, if you don't know the community and you don't know the story, you don't know the history and the achievements, it's easy to decide to tear it down. And I preach that all the time. But for our young people, they have to have a sense of our accomplishments and what we have achieved in spite of. We have overcome, and I want to make sure that some of the original buildings that are still left, they don't have markers. People are thinking about preserving that history and sharing that history. And the other issue is how are we telling our story to our young people? It's one thing for me to know, But how are we sharing it with, because our schools are not teaching our history anymore. I've got my can I give a little?
Please.
Tomorrow is, I have to speak. Because tomorrow is a special day for me. Because 213 years ago, tomorrow, my great-great-grandfather received his emancipation from Kentucky. Lewis Adams. And he and Reverend Poindexter were friends and comrades on the Underground Railroad. And in fact, his great-grandson was married in a house at the corner of Hawthorne and Hughes. Reverend Poindexter married my grandfather in that house, but it was torn down for Poindexter Village. Connecting those dots. From 1813, Lewis Adams and his emancipation, and was sent to Urbana, Ohio, and we were here, been in Ohio, making a difference. Each generation has made a difference. So that's my spill, my little commercial. But that's why our story is important. That's why it's important for our children to know what we have come through and achieved in this community and others. And new people need to know our story. And so that's why what we do in the museum is important, that we tell our story from our perspective and preserve it for our next generations to come. Because if you don't know what you had, you can't appreciate if somebody's taking it away from you. So we've got to preserve it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to preach again, but I will share this if you would like to see this emancipation.
And I want to ask her this. I got a book from the library. Okay, I want to ask you about something about that. I was at that library the day before my child was shot. But I got a book at that library, and it was about Mount Vernon Avenue, and I took it out and I just read it the other day, more like a pamphlet. And the person who wrote it didn't know anything about Mount Vernon Avenue. Evidently, it was second-hand knowledge. Because when I read it, I thought they didn't even know anything about it. So what I'm saying to you, have you written a book about our neighborhood?
I did put together some years ago with the Columbus landmarks. We only had 700 copies. So, and you can download it. But if you understand the history of the Black community, we were downtown. We weren't on the east side. It was the canals. If you have to understand the growth of this city, it was after the flood of 1813 that major people moved east. But the Jewish community had most of the business on Mount Vernon Avenue, and then they started allowing, blacks started building their businesses. But we've always had John T. Ward, who was on the Underground Railroad, started his moving company, but it was because of those wagons he could do that. But just understanding his history, you would see how we grew and moved to the east side. But we moved to the west side. We started around the outer belts of the county. You had the Depth story. How many know about the Depths? And Lucy Depths and the Litchfords, that's back in the news again, and up Arlington. Those black men came in the mid-1800s and bought 200 to 300 acres of land. Think about our history. and the Goods and Dr. Pike. Reverend Poindexter came at that time. His wife, they were in Dublin. He could only afford 40 acres. His wife didn't like being that far, and she made him move into the city. But our history is not just from yesterday. And then Mr. Ninrod Allen from the Urban League, and with Dr. Method, who had to create that hospital at Long and 17th, because those black doctors could not take care of their patients in the white hospitals. So he had to create that hospital. But those men had the vision. We couldn't have open places to have big meetings, and our families needed to have recreation places, and men wanted to play golf. So they created the Walnut Country Club right there on Hamilton Avenue going into that. We've got so many history. And historians.
So I suggest you write the book.
Heroes. But that little book that we put together with landmarks talked about how those communities began to be developed. The West Side. But I must say, the person that took over the story of the West Side, the Hilltop, where they took that over and rewrote it from what I wrote. So it's not, I have to have these declaim this, whatever. It isn't what we wrote. But it doesn't talk about redlining and the three streets, Highland, Wheatland, and Oakley. And then Reverend Ashburn from Oakley Baptist Church ended up in the legislature. But if it wasn't for Oakley, Jesse Owens, when he was 100 years or 90 years ago, had the international acclaim, couldn't live on campus, couldn't eat on campus. But he had a house across from Oakley Baptist Church. That community nurtured our Jesse Owens. So that, don't get me.
So Rita, I suggest maybe the OSU Extension Center at one time had programs where we highlighted the Black neighborhoods and the history of the Black neighborhoods. So maybe it's our turn to do it. But I don't know what OSU Extension Center do.
And Poindexter would not have been successful had it not been placed in the center of a successful Black community. It supported the village economically, and the village supported the community. So if you don't understand and put history in context, I'm sorry.
Please don't. No, thank you very much. And the community at large, you can see why Central Community House had that special event for Rita Smith. She knows a lot. She has a lot to say. And if you want to talk, feel free to talk, because we want to know the history of our neighborhood. Thank you very much. And when you were speaking of St. Mark's, could you tell people where that is? The church?
It's at, what is that, Miami?
Yes.
And St. Mark's, the Masonic movement developed leaders.
Yes.
And I'm having a senior moment.
Well, speaking of St. Mark's in Black churches, there are monies, I don't know if it's with National Historic Preservation, some group that's putting monies toward preserving, mothballing, keeping historic Black churches, because they're at great risk in Black communities throughout this country. St. Mark's, perfect example. Years ago, it was put up for auction. I went through it. Bob and State Commissioner went through it. It was an unbelievable church. It it's a shame what's happened to it. It's an amphitheater. It's like St. Paul AME on the inside. The type of seating that it has, Shiloh, that same kind of amphitheater seating, which is very typical at that time. It'd be nice if there was some attempt by some people to investigate possibly finding some of those monies, see what we could do. And of course, then you have to find a use for the church. But this community has lost so many black churches already. And the ones that we have are at great risk. We have Pilgrim, which has few people, which is at risk. We lost the church there at 17th, between 17th and 18th on Long Street years ago. What was the name of it? Centenary Episcopal. Yeah, that was a real loss.
We lost the building, but not the church.
Right, the building. And we want to keep the churches with the building if possible, but if they separate, we still want to keep the buildings because they are significant pieces of the community. So we are like other predominantly African American communities in the country. They're losing that very important part of their community, the black church. So you be aware of that. In St. Mark's, if you have an opportunity to drive by it, it's.
But we're talking about the Masonic Charter Church.
Yeah.
I had one other question. I'm sorry, one more thing because I directed to. I know last time we talked about the tutoring of Martin Luther King Library, and I was concerned with them.
What would you like to know? I mean, I was there.
Are you continuing your tutoring program?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Very well, yes. And frankly, the tutoring program, we've seen most of the families come back. But because we're there, I would say the overall usage of the library is down. There's not as much, as many people going through. But as far as the tutoring is concerned, we're continuing. And we were right in the middle of changing as we go from 4 to 5 and then 5 to 6. And so it was right at that change that the shooting happened. And which was hard because we had families affected that were leaving the library and we had families coming in. So it was hard. But I will say one advantage to having the tutoring at the time is we just cared for the children and parents, but we just stayed there and because some children were upset, others were doing fine.
That's the Bronzeville Strong.
Strong start.
I did see a brochure inside the library.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? The baby center, what's going on with that? It's still closed, isn't it? And we're getting ready to go into the summer months again. And it's kind of like, what are the kids going to do?
I asked the same question, and so I'm asking those questions to try to figure out where we are on renovation to be ready to open back up. This is my 35th day on the job, so we get a moment, but I absolutely will follow up on the baby rec center because I asked that question, particularly when the youth at the town hall were talking about needing more spaces where they can go and using the library because the library was one of the only spaces that they had to be able to, only third spaces that they had to be able to commune together. And so then my next question was, where are we at with the baby rec center? So very good question, very timely. I hope to be able to at least run down some of those answers, and then I will make sure that I get it to the leadership of the neighborhood association and the commission, so you guys have them.
You can speak to
So, I was also going to mention that, frankly, support for Bronzeville Strong Start is just growing by leaps and bounds. And right now, there's already a partnership happening between the schools, the YMCA, and our program to have actually in Trevitt a summer program. I'm not sure if it's 6 or 8 weeks, where again, the children will be, and actually we're paying teachers to come in and continue the educational process. So it's not, I'm glad there's going to be other kinds of youth events and camps, but we're specifically trying to deal with the brain drain that happens over the summer. And so there will be, I believe it's 6 to 8 weeks. We've got the funding to be able to do that, and it will be located at Trevitt. So that will be a real plus.
I know you guys are asking to get into the building. I was going to ask you if you were able to.
My understanding was they have gotten me, but I wasn't in on that meeting. Bruce is not here, but he would be able to answer that. But I'm fairly certain that they've got that worked out.
Yes, but your program is doing wonders.
Yes, and frankly,
Unbelievable.
they're talking about, I mean, at this point, if we're not able to get some things happening within the schools, they're talking about in the future having a school. So, again, don't know, but so far it is growing and getting good word of mouth, in the schools as well. So we're very excited about what we're doing.
And this is directed mainly towards third grade reading proficiency. This has been a goal of the state of Ohio for 10 years. And Travis Elementary School, the third grade reading proficiency is 10%. So that's why everybody's involved in this.
Right. And we do need to acknowledge Broad Street Presbyterian has been a funder source for this project and has backed it. Bruce Hill and others have been working with them to move this along. And then also we want to acknowledge Bethany Presbyterian Church, where we are right now having this meeting. And they're very involved in community, and they continue to have their Saturday afternoon meals, and they could always use support. And they're open to us having numerous community meetings in addition to this meeting. We've had many over the years, so we thank both those churches and other churches in the community that are involved in what's going on. Yes.
Okay, so I want to add to that because there is an event tomorrow here at Bethany. It's called the Black Caucus of Central Ohio in partnership with Association of Black Women Voters, and they're going to be talking to candidates, right?
I believe
it's
so.
a panel discussion. I don't know all the details, but I heard about it just one time.
Is that here in the basement?
No, it's going to be upstairs. It's going to be upstairs in the same section.
There is parking here for that.
After church.
Because it starts at 2. I like some of our brothers and sisters that
You say it's a cheese or
Oh, you pretty much keep it to an hour and a half.
Does anybody else have any closing comments, statements?
Really quickly, I did check in with City Council person Nancy Howard. She's over Wrecking Parks in her committee.
Okay.
She did say that it took the insurance company a fairly long time to pay. And so they could not start work until the insurance company had paid for the Beatty Rec Center. They are right now in the early stages of clean out. So they are still doing clean out of the fire damage from the Beatty Rec Center. I asked if Wrecking Parks had a timeline or estimated timeline. We'll see what they have, and then once I get a response, I'll make sure.
Thank you.
Oh, that's very good. In December, General Body MEAC, they came to present, and they stated they expected baby open in late 2026, so this year. Whether they could do that or not, but that's what they told the commission at the December meeting.
Right. So when they give timelines like that, just anticipate it being off at least 6 weeks, which is good. Okay. All right. Is anybody else have any statement, interest? Jim, please. All right. Like a motion to end the meeting?
I will be adjourned.
Okay.